All right, welcome to the Ignition Point podcast. I'm Sean Finnegan.
Debbie Hart, and today we have Bennett Maxwell of Dirty Dough. So if you like a good cookie, we get to talk about how those came about today. So what is the ignition point for Dirty Dough?
The ignition, like when did we start and everything?
Yeah, the
I feel like
inspiration.
there's an ignition point every other month.
There is. There's many, but kind of that main tipping point where you're like, today's the day, I'm doing this, I'm all in, that kind of moment.
So Dirty Dough was started by a buddy I went to high school with in Arizona. He just posts online that he's looking for an investor to open up the first storefront. And then I guess leading up to that ignition point, I wanted him to franchise it to me. He just had that one location. And he said, you know what, I'm kind of sick of working 80-hour weeks, being, a baker. I want to get out of it. So kind of on the limb, I just listened to another podcast that said true wealth is created by buying real estate and buying businesses. And I had maybe a handful of properties, but I never purchased a business. And I thought, just listen to the podcast, here's a chance to buy a business. So that was definitely an issue. I mean, just jumping in and like, okay, I'm going to try to figure it out. And it was pretty slow for the first 6-ish months. I was still running another company. And then I met John Richards and did a startup ignition course. And he won't, I wanted him to be on our advisory board. And he's like, I won't unless this is all you're doing. Like you have to fully exit everything.
Fully
Must
jump in.
all in.
Both
Yes.
Okay, burning the boats.
So not only did I sell that other company, there was some salary and some stocks if I stayed on. And he's like, you got to walk away from all of it.
To work with him.
So I did, and it's definitely been worth it.
Oh, well, clearly. I mean, you went from 0 to how many?
We're at 64 stores right now, and we have another dozen-ish.
So 0 to 64 in how long? What, 18 months?
About, since when we opened that first.
So impressive. How did you do that?
I think another piece to that.
I have no idea.
You could have also come in and done like all the other, the cookie concepts before, but I think you came in and thought completely new way to revolutionize the whole space.
Yeah, so we did the stuffed cookies, making a more unique product, but really it came down to logistics on the back end. Rather than having each store deal with a bajillion employees and ordering all their
Lots
own.
of square feet, space.
Yeah, they have to get their own ingredients. They have to mix their own cookies, way more equipment, twice the square footage. So our vision was consolidate all of that and just give a franchisee a pre-portioned cookie dough ball that you just put in the oven, press start. And it's really that simple because all cookies are same time temperature fan speed.
It takes out a lot of waste, I'm sure.
Yes.
Like you have an untrained kind of baker that's trying to make this cookie, and I'm sure they're throwing away a lot of stuff.
Yeah, completely eliminated that. The waste of like, oh crap, what do I do? It's, the next week's rotation, what I do with my old cookies, the blueberry toppings, like we don't run into that. And then at the end of the night, rather than throwing away our cookies, we save them and then we'll put them in dirty shakes or like a shake.
Is that what they're called, dirty shakes?
The dirty shake, and then we do the dirty scoop, which was Pizookie. We were already in one lawsuit, so I was like, BJ's restaurants own that one. So we changed that to dirty scoop, but it's a warm ice cream.
Have a catchy name, catchy logo. You come in, you systemize, cut costs, make it easy for people to franchise, and you're successful really fast. So then what are some of the hard things that hit you that you had, and then how did you overcome that and keep going on?
Getting sued by $1 billion company before we had our first franchise open, that was a little difficult. Luckily, it did end up going in our favor, and we were able to make a good amount of franchise sales in there.
You went all in before that even happened. So how did you get through being sued right away, right from the get-go?
Yeah, the quick story on the lawsuit, they sued us, nothing. I read the lawsuit. I'm like, oh, this is silly. A news article picked it up, KSL picked it up maybe 6 weeks after we were sued. And when they threw it out there, that's when I was like, okay, well, if the story's going to be out in the public, I want to at least give my side. And Crumbl didn't want to give their side. Mm-hmm. Probably because how do you answer a question of like, do you think that Sprinkles, are you really suing a company over
Sprinkles? I feel like it actually was good PR for you because, it had a catchy name, Cookie Wars, right? And no one wants fair competition, right? Yep. There should be able to be more than one cookie shop in town. So I feel like a lot of people resonate and sympathize with being taken down by somebody else,
As soon as that kind of came out and we were on social media about it, store sales were all-time high. And then, but more importantly, we were selling legitimately hundreds of franchises due to the exposure. So there were some legal fees, but we probably collected 10x that amount in franchise
10x
fees.
That.
And that was, I guess, being a little bit more vulnerable, coming out and fighting it rather than just like trying to fight it behind the scenes.
I think the average entrepreneur would would turn away from it and not want to address it, not lean into it, and almost try to hide it. It's like, oh no, this thing over there, and try to come up with a story. But you went the opposite. You actually leaned into it.
Yeah, you were vulnerable and public, and I think that endeared people to you.
He created these funny commercials
Yeah.
and seen by, I don't know, millions.
Yeah, they did good.
Yeah.
Those commercials and those actors. Yeah.
Yeah.
That definitely helped us to lean into it. And it's not, again, when we got sued, that wasn't the plan. But as soon as it was made public, then I'm like, I'm definitely not going to shy away from it. And I'm a big believer in that, like kind of the being vulnerable and authentic anyway. And like people are going to find out that we're getting sued. Might as well hear from me.
I think that's such a great success principle.
Resiliency and vulnerability. Those are kind of required characteristics.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you asked, how are we doing that? And yeah, it's just day by day. How are we? And over the last year, we've opened up an average of, I don't know, one to 1.5 stores every single week. And yeah, it's just week by week, day by day. A big portion of that was getting a good team, getting a good advisory board. I hired on a CEO early on that has been in franchising for 40 years. And then we just brought on another CEO, transitioned the former CEO to president. Anyways, the new CEO was the CEO of Jimmy John's during their rapid growth. So
they scaled fast and hard. And
yes.
Yep.
So a lot of it as well is, I guess, timing of the market, good product, good model, but a really good team definitely
Really good team, yeah.
is the key to the success.
So what's the future look like? What are you going to do?
Well, we have of the 64-ish that we have open, we have another 45 like under construction, another, I think we're at 460, 470 like total franchises sold. So we need to get all of those open, and we're also expanding to like wholesale in talks with Walmart and Kroger,
Amazing.
Publix, all
Okay.
of those other companies as well.
Branching out already. So if someone wanted to start a franchise, obviously you have a good replicatable system. How would someone learn about that?
Our franchise particularly is just on our website, dirtydough.com, and then go on there. And I think there's a podcast up that kind of does the whole model, and gives the pros and cons. But franchising in general, most people go through franchise brokers, and then you talk with the broker, kind of tell them what you're looking for, your price points, what you like, what you don't like, and they'll represent a dozen brands or a few dozen brands, and then they will point you in the direction of where
So
to go.
people could go to a broker or directly to your website?
Yes.
Okay. And you have your own podcast too, right?
Yes.
And what's it called and where can we listen?
It's called Deeper Than Dough on any YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and it's about finding joy and fulfillment. And it's kind of following my journey of entrepreneurship sucks, it's hell. So to attach it to a purpose.
Hard and rewarding.
Yes, it's very, the highs are high and the lows are low.
Roller coaster.
So that's what the podcast focuses on, finding joy and fulfillment along the journey rather than waiting till the exit to be happier.
Enjoy the journey,
Yes.
even with the lows.
Yes.
Be
What would you
vulnerable.
say your parting remarks? What's your best advice you have for entrepreneurs?
Surround yourself with good people. I didn't know what an advisory board was. I just had heard boards, like a governing board for movies. And that was for big corporations, public companies. And then I took that startup ignition course here in Utah. And he's like, oh no, you can get like really high quality people on your advisory board. You carve out 0.5% or percent equity over a 2-year vesting period. And so right off the bat, we got John Richards. We had the largest property management company. Anyways, join our board. And that was really fundamental to guiding us. But also when you're selling franchises or any product, they want to see, like as I walked into Tax Hive, I see Kevin O'Leary, right?
Yeah, right.
You want to see that somebody of credibility is backing it. So that helped out a ton.
I think it's excellent advice. Get the right people on the bus first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Absolute honor to have you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
If any of you watching today have any doubts that your current CPA is not helping you take 100% advantage of the deductions you deserve and helping you stay compliant with the IRS, then don't hesitate to get involved with Tax Hive today. You won't be disappointed.